Today I'm going to show you 3 different techniques for black and white editing. We're going to start with desaturation, and then we're going to try a low and a high contrast black and white edit. So this is a photo that I took when I was visiting Brooklyn. It's from the Bushwick Collective, which is a neighborhood that is just filled with beautiful street art. And so the first method, if we go to adjustments, and if we go to hue and saturation, we're going to do what we call desaturating a photo. So I'm at my saturation level, and I'm going to slowly go to the left. And you will notice that it is slowly muting the color. So I'm going to find a spot where I can still see the color a bit. It's kind of muted. And I'm going to save that as a desaturated photo. So when I go to File and Save, I'm going to want to make sure that I rename it. So I'm going to call this one Desaturated or Desaturation. Okay, so that is my first photo. Now I can just continue going with my hue and saturation. And if I completely get rid of the saturation, that means I'm taking that level all the way to the left, and I have removed all of the color. So I'm going to go ahead and click Apply. And this is what is called a low contrast photo. That means there's a lot of gray tones. I've got dark darks, I've got light lights, but I have a lot of gray tones in the middle. So if I go over to adjustments, brightness, and contrast, the opposite of a low contrast photo is a high contrast photo. So if I grab my contrast button, and if I start moving it to the right, you're going to see that my darks are very dark and my whites are very white, and there's not a lot of middle gray tone. Sometimes we can also play a little bit with the brightness button when we're mixing up our contrasts, but the idea is that the difference between a low contrast and a high contrast are the amount of gray midtones in the middle. So I would save this one as a low contrast photo. So I'm just going to call this one low contrast. And again, grabbing that brightness and contrast and finding a happy medium. If I go all the way to the right, I might be satisfied with it, but I might want to leave a little bit of gray tone. So I'm going to go right here for Apply. And this one I would call a high contrast example. So now I have 3 examples of the same photo being edited into black and white techniques of desaturation, low contrast, and high contrast.